And now we're live for ACT last minute tips because you guys have the test coming up in 2 days, right? In September 10th, right? Because today's the 8th, right? I can do math, right? So the SAT came around a few weeks ago, and I really wanted to do this for all of my viewers, right? Before test day, you guys are going to be nervous. You guys are going to be doing the last minute things, and you're going to really want not just like the skills and knowledge, but also the assurance and the confidence so you can have your mental game right while going into the test. So I'm doing this a couple nights earlier, so I'm doing this on Thursday. So A, you guys aren't staying up late on Friday, and I'll get into that in a bit. And also B, no matter where you are in the world, hopefully, you know, we have subscribers in Korea and other countries, right, from different time zones. You guys will all be able to join and watch and get this done in your head in time for the test. Okay. So as we wait for people to come in, so today I wanted to talk about the overall ACT because I've been talking about the reading a lot, right? And I want to talk about the overall test and what you should be doing the day before and the breakdown of the test and what you need to be looking out for. So this should be common sense. I already made a point of this in one of my shorts, but you guys should be sleeping around 10 p.m. the day before the test on Friday because you don't need to be absorbing facts into your brain for the ACT the day before, okay? It's not very a fact-heavy test. So it's much more important that you get sleep the day before because the human brain takes around like 1 to 2 hours to fully wake up. In fact, if you are sleep deprived, that's equivalent to driving while under the influence of like 6 beers or something was a scientific study I saw a while ago. So obviously you don't want to be doing that for the actual test. You want to go to bed about around 10 p.m. And I know most of you guys have messed up sleep schedules. You guys don't go to bed by 10. So get like a workout in or do something, get yourself tired so you can have a nice dinner and go to bed by 10. Really, really do try to do that. So that's general advice for any test taking thing. So for the ACT, what do we need to do? You guys already know the general test order for the ACT, obviously, right? So we have the English section, we have the math section, we have the reading section, and we have the science section, okay? So what I want you guys to remember is that, especially for those who have not taken the ACT in an actual test environment before with a proctor, okay? So between the English and the math section, there is a break. You get to go up and you get to go to the bathroom and get water, etc. Between the math and the reading section, there's also a break. But between the reading and the science section, there is no break, guys. So even though the reading is 35 minutes and the science is 35 minutes, you don't really get a break in between. So your brain is going to feel like you're taking a 70-minute section altogether, okay? So you are going to get fatigued in the reading and science, and that's going to be natural. So don't get alarmed if you feel like you're losing a little bit of focus on the science, okay? And that's why I always emphasize you have to be efficient on the reading so you don't get tired on the science. So we have people coming into the chat. Hello, hello. So whoever has come into the chat, whatever questions you guys have on the ACT on whatever section, really doesn't matter. Math, English, reading, science, I could answer any of those if you have specific questions. It would be easier if you could send like a screenshot to the email in the chat, or you could just send the URL if it's a website link and I could pull it up on my computer and we could do it. And if you have overall questions on any of the sections, that's also fine. I will be able to go over any of those as well, okay? So you could have a broader theoretical question on like, oh, Jay, how do you do this type of question? We could do that. Or how do you do this type of passage? We could do that as well, okay? Hello, Ethan. And if you guys don't have any of those questions at the moment, what we could do is, we have more hellos and hellos, yeah? Okay, we have a hello and a hello. Let me see. Yeah, well, it is only 9:03, and I said the channel will go live at 9. And typically people show up to anything like, you know, fashionably late, at least 5 minutes later. So we will give it a few. But I don't know, we're just sitting here while we're waiting for those people. So, so the first section is obviously the English, right? And during the English section, yeah, I'll just kind of go through the whole ACT and the general tips for each section, and then once people come in, I'll get into the more specifics with whatever people want to find out about. So with the English section, what you want to be doing is you want to just be first. Oh, this is a thing that nobody does, okay? In the English section, guys, I know a lot of you guys skip over it because it doesn't seem that important. For the English section, this is the one tip I want you guys to remember from today, because this is a tip that could make a tangible difference on your score if you remember it on Saturday, okay? Read the title of the English passages. I haven't mentioned this before because I've been focusing my videos on reading, but on the English section, guys, on the first section, the grammar section, read the titles of the passages. The reason I say that is a lot of them, they will ask towards, I would say, the last 2 to 3 questions on the passage. What would be a good conclusion for this passage? What would capture the main idea of the passage? In those cases, it can really be pretty tricky sometimes because, as you guys know, the English passages are written badly on purpose because your whole job on these passages is to fix them. So it can be a little bit difficult to catch what they're talking about because they're written badly. They are supposed to be about whatever the title says. So do read the title of the English passages. Too many people skip over them and get questions wrong when they really could have gotten them right. So that's one thing for the English. The other thing for the English is that you don't want to be just jumping to the questions for the English. Just read the passage in order, and as you encounter each question, do each question as they come up. Okay, so that's my advice for the English. And I'll try to go through all the sections first, and then we'll get into the breakdown of each one. So for the math, as you guys know, there are 60 questions, and as you guys already hopefully know, the questions go up in difficulty level, right? The questions go up in difficulty level. So starting from anywhere from, depending on your own personal mathematic capabilities, from question 30 on, it might be a little bit difficult, question 40 on, question 50 on, and so forth, okay? None of the math questions are worth any more points than the other, right? So if a question is taking particularly long time, don't worry too much about it, especially if you're in the last 10, right? Numbers 51 to 60 onward. If something is taking a lot of time, just go on to the next one, because even if the next question is also difficult, maybe that's something that you do know how to do. So don't get stuck on any one of the questions, is my advice for the math. And for the reading, which is the main thing I wanted to get to, because that's the people who usually struggle the most on. They have the most questions on. So I actually made a little Google slideshow for you guys. So let me pull that up first on my end. And this is very similar to... Yep. Okay. I have the Google slideshow. Right. Yeah, this is very similar to the video I made on why your reading score is not going up. Right. I already made that video. Why your reading score is not going up. So this is going to cover that. So if you guys watch that video, you'll be able to follow this exactly. But this is a little bit more specific for ACT. Okay. So reading concept and misconceptions. There are many misconceptions. So there is no way to get better at the ACT reading because, okay, obviously if there was no way to get better on the ACT reading, then I wouldn't be able to make this channel, right? So these are, I'm going to skip the things that people are wrong about. So people think you just have to be good at reading to be good at ACT, right? Or that there's no pattern. Obviously, those are not true. You can learn to be good at the ACT by learning the passage types, which I'll go over in the next slideshow that I made for you guys. And also by learning the patterns, because there are certainly patterns. Okay, passage types, question types, and answer choice language, and we'll get to that. So these I would only bring up really in the beginning of the sessions when the students are like, Jay, I don't think I can get better at reading. I've been doing this for months. I'm not getting any better. You can get better. And just like anything else, it's a skill that you have to learn and practice. Okay, so for those of you who are maybe joining the channel and the stream for the first time, this is what I want you to tell you guys to not do. Okay, so whether it's for this test or forward, so normally whenever you study for anything, you take tests and you go over what you did wrong looking at the answer explanations. But that's not going to be adequate for the reading, because as you guys who have been on the channel for a while know, for the reading, you only will learn why the correct answer is correct on any reading book out there. It won't tell you how to get the right answer. So that is just telling me, oh, I was wrong because of this. But it will not tell you, I can get it right next time because of this. It will not tell you that. So don't do that. And as the... Okay. This is the other common approach. You read the whole passage, you try to understand it and answer the question. This is flawed for a number of reasons. Number one, I mentioned in the early part of the live that the ACT reading and the science, you don't get a break in between. You can get up and stretch, literally, just get up and stretch. We have to sit like right back down. It's like less than a minute. So you're doing 35 minutes of reading and 35 minutes of science back to back. And also when you're doing the science, you've already been doing like 2 to 3 hours of test taking already. So your brain's going to be worn out. So if I, spend a lot of time reading the whole passage, I'm going to be frying my brain out for the science section. You're going to struggle in the science, okay? And secondly, the time you spend reading the whole passage, it's really not going to be conducive to you finishing the test. Very, very few students that I've encountered were able to finish the ACT completely on their own while reading the whole passage. It's just not a skill that most people have, so don't do that, okay? And this is going on to the whole point of like, this is how you'll do better or worse in the science, okay? According to Tokyo University, although the research is pretty old, it was like from like 20 years ago, but The maximum amount of time a person can fully pay attention is, what do you guys think? It's 50 minutes, okay? So, that's the maximum, okay? Are you going to be at your maximum on the day of the test? You're going to be nervous, you're going to be tired because of the other sections, right? And depending on how you take it, it's 2 hours 55 or 3 hours 35, whether you do the essay or not. So that's way over the 50-minute limit. So then you have to come up with some way of doing this while saving your attention span, especially because there's no break between reading and science, like I said. So what is the optimal approach? And I'll get this more into detail. So you have to map the passage. I will go through how to map the passage in a bit, but how do you map the passage? Really, really short breakdown, as you guys know. Again, if you've been on this channel, is blurb, intro, conclusion. Blurb, intro, conclusion. And for the body paragraphs, only look at the first sentence of the body paragraph. For my SAT students, I say you can skim through the body. ACT, don't even do that, okay? Blurb, intro, conclusion, read the first sentence of the body paragraphs, okay? So while doing that, you can annotate on the side of each body paragraph, what was it about? I just need to know what it's about. I don't need to understand it, okay? The second thing is you have to recognize the passage if you're like, oh, I know exactly what this is. It's one of those passages that talks about how this artist was criminally underrated and he was creative. If I know all of that, then it's going to be obviously a lot easier, okay? And what is the list of all those passages? Also going to be, I'm going to be giving that to you guys today. And then analyzing the questions, what does that mean? For example, there are question types, certain question types such as a chronology question, in which there is a certain way to do it, which used to be one of my quick and dirty videos. I'll get them back up pretty soon. Okay. So, I'm getting into detail about the passage mapping. So, when I look at a passage, so all of this is done before you do the questions. This should take you about 2 to 3 minutes maximum. Okay. If it takes more than that, then we don't have time to answer the questions. So, your goal is to identify the type of the passage, the topic of the passage, and the purpose of the passage. The type of the passage is going to be, let's say, again, if I have a narrative passage, I'm like, oh, this is one of those family is important and precious passages. That's the type, right? And the topic is going to be how, well, it depends on the passage, right? It's going to be how this person grew up through this experience. And the purpose is going to be share an emotionally significant experience. I know all of those things from memory. Okay, so how do you do that? Like I said before, blurb, intro, conclusion, topic sentences over the body paragraphs. Okay, so this is a very, very condensed version of what I would be teaching people over like weeks and weeks. Okay, so I think that's enough for that particular PowerPoint. So I'll go back to the chat, right, and move away from that screen to see if I have any questions in the chat. I don't have any questions in the chat at the moment, which is fine. Which is fine because whether you guys are watching this live or not, I should get this uploaded. Oh, hey, Nicholas. How was the food at the Columbia orientation? It was a little bit off topic, but honestly, guys, any type of food at these college things are, like, not the greatest, because I feel like they have a really big focus on, like, bringing you healthy food, right? So it's, like, all, like, low sugar, right? Low sugar, not even real soda type of vibe, and, like, the juices are all, yeah, it wasn't the best. But, like, it wasn't terrible. Well, on the other hand, the orientation fee was, like, $400 or $500. So the food should have been pretty good, in my opinion. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Do I get anything? Oh. Hello, Tony. I don't think you're taking the ACT this Saturday, but you're welcome to join us. As I was saying, right, whether people are here live or not, I will be uploading this so that people have access to it to do last-minute studying. Hopefully, they won't do it too late, but yeah, we'll be doing that. Okay. So, again, I'll give you guys a few seconds. If you guys have any questions about anything, you could ask. If not, then do I want to pull up the slideshow? Or no, I won't pull up the slideshow. I'll just, like, talk it out. Right. Debating, do I want to pull up the slideshow or not? Because I like my face being on the camera, because I like the attention. But the slideshow will be on the passage types on the ACT reading, because that's what people should know, so they can do these things pretty quickly as possible. Okay. We have more people joining. We have 8 watching now, or maybe more. I don't know. I don't think these numbers are really updated live. All right. So the ACT passage types, as you guys know, there are 4 ACT passage types, which are, if this were a live class, I'd be like, Nicholas, can you name the types? Well, it's not a live class. But yeah, feel free to answer the questions in chat, guys. There is a little bit of a delay, but it should be doable. Right. So the 4 ACT passage types are, in order, literary narrative, 1, social science, 2, humanities, 3, and natural science, 4. Okay. Those are the passages in order, but there's no reason you have to do them in order, guys. I would also generally recommend that it's a very specific scenario. If you are the type of person who is not finishing the ACT reading on time yet, you only have time to do like 3 and you run out of time on the 4th, just leave your worst section last, okay? So a lot of people do, oh, I'll do the easy one last because I should be able to finish that quickly. No, do your worst one last. Because the easy one, the one you're better at, if you invest the time into it, you would have gotten questions right, yeah? But the hard one, the one you struggle the most with, if I'm going to guess on anything, I should guess on the one that I'm going to do the worst on, right? So whatever that is for you, whether that be the humanities or social, whatever, leave that till the end. If I have to guess like half of them, then just guess them. Okay. So let me see. I'm just checking the email. Did anything come in? Okay. Nope, not yet. So I was going to go through all the passage types. Yeah, we can kind of alternate between the slideshow and my face, I guess. That'll be a thing. And also, I'll look for questions in the email. Are there questions in the email? Okay. Okay. YouTube, you guys should be emailing at youtube@zoomad.com. And I think my email is just being kind of wonky because I feel like I got things. Yes, I did. Okay. So we have a few questions on the English section. English section, I haven't done English in a while. Okay. Which I will do because that's what I do. Okay. As I said, guys, you guys can email me any questions today. It'll be a kind of a special occasion. Normally, I focus on the reading. Why? Because the reading's the hardest to improve. But today, I'll do English, science, math, whatever you guys want me to do. Okay. So give me a second, and I'll go through the English section. They actually gave me a few, which is like almost the whole passage. But yeah, that's fine. I'll share my screen with you guys in a second. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I think that should be shareable. Yep. So I don't know where. I'm pretty sure I've seen this test somewhere. I do the reading a lot more often, but I've also done all the English passages as well. Okay, so as I said before, guys, do read this title of the passage. So this is about the real McCoy, whatever that means. Okay, so that's important, whatever the real McCoy means. So this is going to be the origins of the term, the meanings of the term, and so forth. So a lot of people just jump to the question right here, which is okay in terms of like you can have okay accuracy doing that. But the thing is, a lot of times when people get it wrong, they get it wrong because they only looked here and they didn't look at the whole sentence, which would be here. Or even more often, they don't have the context from reading to here, so that's why they get it wrong. So I want to make sure I read the whole thing. So yeah, I'll just do these 3 in a row. As a real McCoy, you might have heard this expression before, but who or what is a McCoy, real or otherwise? The saying has been used for generations to declare blank the genuine article, the original, and best. Okay. So with these things, these are the steps in order because I don't really do the English on this channel. I do teach it all the time. Right, I don't teach the grammar in this channel, but I do teach it all the time in my day-to-day job. You have to first identify what's wrong with the given. Okay, because the ACT English and also the SAT writing, they're the same thing, just called different names. You see how the no change is an option? You have to first identify what's wrong with it, and then pick the one that fixes that one. Okay, so a lot of people, this is what they do wrong. They plug in every single one of these. Don't plug in every single one of these, guys. figure out what's wrong with it, and then pick your answer. That fixes the issue. So the saying has been used for generation to declare it's the genuine article, the original and best. So I have a pronoun. First of all, that's like never correct. ITS apostrophe is not a thing. That doesn't exist. Okay? So that's not a thing. Second, what's it? I don't know. Whenever I have a pronoun, like it or they, what is it referring to? It needs to be clear. Okay? So the answer here is, so first, I don't like the fact that I don't know what it is. So I have to name it. So instead of it, I have the word something. Okay. And ACT gives you a bunch of ways you can say that this is wrong. B is wrong because that should have been it is, first of all. It is something that is, yeah, actually there's a really, and then D, it doesn't have the contraction either. But the faster way to do it would just be, I don't like what the it is referring to because I don't know what it refers to. It's ambiguous. So I need to name what it is. It's something. Isn't something also ambiguous? Yeah, but at least it's not the personal pronoun of it. Okay, I'll do these rapidly now, guys. While its origin is disputed, many people do these questions. Okay, Canadian engineer named. Okay. So what's wrong with it right now? There's a comma here. There should be no comma there. Because if there's a comma there, guys, that means you could take it out. So can I just end the sentence here with Canadian American engineer named blank? No, that's terrible. So the answer here is no comma. Removed comma. Answer is G. Next one, 63, and I'll move on to whatever the next question is. McCoy, a railroad worker, was a teenager, had formerly studied. Okay. Okay. This is why guys, honestly, the English section is so much easier than the reading to improve because each question can be categorized like this. This is a redundancy problem. And once you figure out how to do one of these, you can just use the same method to do the next one. So this is a redundancy problem. Why? Because you see we have the word revolutionized. Right? I get all of these. Affecting both incredibly was answer choice A. Changing both of them fundamentally. They would never be the same. They're all just different ways of saying revolutionized. So if I see 3 of the answer choices kind of say the same thing, they're probably all going to be wrong. And also, it's probably because I can eliminate them because I already said it. I already said I revolutionized. So I don't need to say the same exact thing later in the sentence. So the answer is just D. Another tip. If I see I have a shortest answer choice and it's grammatically correct, then that's the answer. Okay? And that's it for the English. And let me go to the email again because I think I got a math. And I'll scroll down to the question from chat, actually. Okay, cool. Chat is good. Chat is good. Chat is live because this whole thing is live, right? Chat is good. Where's my chat? Okay. Nayoung. Oh, repost the quick and dirty tip videos. I am trying to. Yeah. Nayoung. I'm really going to try to because there is I don't really know why that a lot of them were, yeah, facing things. But, yeah, we will go to the math questions because I have some questions in math. I will try to upload them as quickly as possible while working around the licensing issues because there are a lot of channels out there. I don't be calling people out that are using materials from like whatever sources, but they were totally fine. But honestly, our channel is not even that big, so I don't know why they were flagged. But I will get them up, even if I have to write the questions myself. I don't really want to do that, but I'll do that for you guys. Okay, so yeah, I'll get them all up again. But now, if you have any like concept from the quick and dirty that you want me to go over again, I'll do that as well. But I do have some math questions, so I'll grab a couple in the screenshots. I can do. There you go. Yep, got some math questions in the screenshot. Okay, the equation has 2 solutions. Solution equal to the solution of following pairs of equations. Okay, so it's an absolute value question. Number 40. This is why. One hand, my life would be easier, I guess, if I taught math. On the other hand, I don't think it would be as fun because, so this is absolute value problem. So you first just subtract the 3 from both sides, so I'll have 2. So when you get rid of absolute value, what do? First, you just get rid of it. Second, what do? You get rid of it, and you change the sign of the other side. It's just one side. You get that, and you solve the 2. And that's really it, because they don't even tell you to solve for it. However, you see how annoying the ACT is? You see I have a 2 here, and I have a -2 here, right? They didn't give you in that order. They really don't. So what do I have to do? I do recognize that 2x minus 8 equals 2 is in these answer choices here, in G, and in H, and J, and K. So that's the easy part. So what next? See, none of these, okay, these are, well, that's an 8, so that's out, actually. I'm going to have to move the negative sign to the other side. So that's going to be negative 2x minus 8 equals 2. So here, that's my answer. Okay. Yeah, when you guys are distributing negative signs, guys, make sure you use the parentheses, because answer choice K here is a very common, like, classic trap answer. They just put the negative sign over on the 2, but they didn't put it on the 8, so that would be wrong. Okay. And let me clear the board here before I move on to the next thing. Number 46. I have to read a little bit. I should give you guys time to read the questions too, right? Or if you guys want, you can try solving them, answering them in the chat. I mean, there are no prizes or anything, but if you guys get them right, it'd be cool. Anyway, 18, radius 6, height of 12, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the key here is, guys, seeing the word cubic inches. If it's cubic inches, I'm going to be looking for volume. Okay, that's it. So I'm just looking for the volume of this thing. So box the shape of a cube has interior side length. Right cylinder. Ah. Okay. So I can't really draw three-dimensionally too well, but let's say there's a cube, right? And inside of the cube there is a cylinder. Okay. I didn't draw that very well. Okay. So whatever is not filled by the cylinder, I have to pack. So if they drew this for you, this would have been a lot easier. So all I'm doing is getting the shaded area. So what is that? That's just going to be the cube minus the cylinder volume. Okay. So you guys should know the formula for a volume of a cube. So that's going to be 18 cubed. That's where the word actually comes from. That's why we call it squared versus cubed. Okay. Minus the volume of a cylinder. What is the volume of a cylinder? Pi r squared h. You should have them memorized because it's just faster if you have them memorized. So this is going to be pi 6 squared h, which is 12. So that's just j. Okay, that's it for math, right? Math is like pretty straightforward. And oh, just so you guys know, though, I'm going to go back to the chat so I can see what you guys are saying. Hi, Diane. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining, as always. For the math, do be on the lookout for matrix questions because they've been adding those more and more. So for the math, look out for the matrix questions, number one. Look out for more probability and statistics questions because they've been adding those. And lastly, what have they been at? Oh, law of cosines. They used to give it to you in the test. Like if they asked for law of cosines, you could just get the formula because they gave it to you. But nowadays, you have to have it memorized. So that's the difference. So the law of cosines, you do need to have it memorized. If it comes up, it's not that much work to memorize it, guys. Can you go over a logic question? Do I have any logic questions? Logic questions. Do I have any handy? Logic questions. Oh, but for logic, actually. Not just logic question, in general, because this fundamental aspect of logic also becomes very handy for the reading as well, okay? So if you have taken, I guess geometry is when most people do it in school, right? If you guys learned about like the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositives, maybe. Did you learn about those? Okay, even if you don't remember that. So yeah, I guess I'll, if A, then B. Right, that form. If A, then B. Does that sound familiar? Maybe? Okay. So this example, I will type into the chat, actually. If I eat fried chicken, I will be happy. I typed it in. Okay. So that's if F, then H, I guess, if I use letters. Yeah. So that's not a very important sounding sentence. Yeah. So that is not that hard to comprehend, right? Even in like common sense wise, like, yeah, I like fried chicken. If I eat it, I'll be happy. Fine. Okay. But a lot of people see if F, then H, and they think the reverse works or like some type of weird situation works. Okay. So can I say then if not F, then not H? Let's translate that into regular English, guys. So if I don't eat fried chicken, I won't be happy. That's kind of ridiculous, right? Because that would mean like the only way I can be happy in real life would be if I eat fried chicken. So that'd be wrong. So quick, before I check the email, would be the only thing that would be correct is if I'm not happy, I didn't eat fried chicken. In logic, you have to flip the order and also negate. So you have to put a not on both of them and flip the order. Okay. We have a math question with, oh, okay. Trig. So this is number 59 from a test, which is good. Because these are the ones that are kind of more interesting. Because like the numbers 59, 60, like the last few, these are the ones that are the ACT likes to add new stuff that they didn't test before. And people complain about it, but like, what are they going to do about it? Okay. So a lot of people get stuck on this because like I haven't even learned radians. Like these degrees are in a thing called radians. If I haven't learned it, I would not be able to do it, I suppose. Okay. So I could teach you guys a number of ways how to do this, which could be like if you knew what it is, obviously, then you would know that. You would know that the maximum value of sine is 1. And that occurs at 90 degrees. And yeah. Oh, and then also -1 occurs at, like, you would have to have memorized this thing called a unit circle. However, guys, let's say I don't know how to do that, okay? Because I would prefer you guys figure out how to do things you don't even know how to do. So if you got something like this, I want absolute value of what would I do? So then in your graphing calculator, guys, graphing calculator, plug in y of x or f of x, whatever it is on whichever graphing calculator you have, and graph the absolute value of sine, which you might have to plug in like this. Yeah? Okay? So, and then for intervals, you would make sure you go into your calculator. Whenever you see this weird pi stuff, guys, with the theta, that letter's called the theta. Make sure you're in your radians mode. So in your calculator, you can Google it later, go into radians mode, okay? So I'm trying to tell you guys how to solve this without knowing the math, without having memorized it. Go to radians mode, okay? Make sure you set it to radians and just graph it. You graph it, and you just check when is it bigger than or equal to 1. That's it, okay? Also, when is it bigger than or equal to 1? And yeah, that occurs, like if you graph it, I'll just tell, like spoilers, I guess, right? It's bigger than or equal to 1 at pi over 2, and also at negative pi over 2. Right? So, yeah. So, for individual values, yeah. So that's going to be for those two values. That's it. Okay. Oh, by the way, guys, the empty set touch means no solution. Like, it doesn't happen. Okay. Honestly, though, guys, if you guys have the time, I'm going to go back to the chat. If you have the time, you should just memorize a unit circle. It would save you a lot of time. Yeah, it would save you guys a lot of time. So do take the time to memorize a unit circle. It'll be handy. Because there are a lot of things with sine and cosine and, like, negatives and positives. It'll just be a lot faster if you guys memorize a unit circle. Okay. So in the meanwhile, we don't have any more questions in the chat. So going back to, and let's see. So these are not in exact order of what comes up in the passages in the test, but I want to give you guys this info anyway. So I'll get this information up to you guys. Yes, I'm just sharing the slideshow. I'll get this information up to you guys in the form of more quick and dirty videos or long and deep videos, whichever one, okay? So this is a slideshow I made. Don't hate, appreciate the humanities. Like, it's a little bit corny, but like whatever catches people's attention is fine. So the humanities passage is the third passage of the ACT. So I said before, you want to get the type, topic, and purpose of the passage. How do I know type, topic, and purpose? By having memorized the most common passage types on the test. Okay. So this is the most common type, the innovative, underappreciated artist. It is the most common type, this thing, okay? So this will typically be, how do I know this? If it's in third person, it's almost always this thing, okay? If it's in third person, it's almost always this. when the writer is talking about somebody else. Now, so I'll just read it. This person did art in a super special way, okay? It's new/unique, and the art is emotional, beautiful, soulful. Like, it's amazing. I love it. I appreciate it, okay? But the public didn't appreciate the person as much because of blank, okay? So that could be the person was a little bit more humble. He had a more quiet personality. It's never going to be he or she wasn't good enough. Never. It's going to be something else. Maybe he was part of a not-so-popular genre. Whatever, okay? But more people should know about this person. This person is amazing, okay? So if I have a third person, I'm speaking of an artist, innovative and underappreciated. Could I ever be negative about an artist? I'll give you guys some exceptions. One, if I have a double passage and the first passage just like swoons over the artist, the second passage still can't be negative, but it could be neutral. It could be saying like these things are good, these things weren't so good. Other scenario, I could be positive about the artist overall, like the whole career, but maybe I don't like this one thing that the person did. That's also a scenario. Okay. Next one. This is going to be recognizable because it's going to be in the first person. Artistic philosophy. Now, on the latest ACTs, they have migrated this over to the literary narrative. Because back in the day, the literary narrative used to be called prose fiction, so they had to be made up stuff. Now it's called the literary narrative, so they could include real life things. So this has also migrated to the literary narrative. So this is, I am an artist. I love my genre of art, or this is how I became an artist. Like my dad read books a lot to me when I was a kid. And art is difficult, but it is rewarding. This is my vision for art. And the theme is usually going to be, I want to connect everybody. I want to redefine what it means to be American, which is all the hyphenated identities that we love so much in America, right? Korean American, Filipino American, Japanese American, African American, so forth, okay? So it's going to be all about connecting people. It's going to be my personal vision. It's going to be humble, though. It's going to be art is really difficult, but I still love doing it. We're not going to get a person on the AC today that goes like, I am the best artist ever. We're not going to get like a Kanye West type of personality in those type of like bragging types of situation. Okay. So that was the Humanities Passage. And I wanted to go over that first because on average, people have the most difficulty with the Humanities. But ironically, the Humanities is perhaps the most predictable because they stay mostly within these two categories. Now, are there other categories? Yeah, there have been like 2 tests that went over biographies. But they were all the same thing though. Like the person the biography is about, that real life person, we love that person. The biography itself could be better, it could be worse, okay? So that was the Humanities Passage. Let me just check the chat real quick on my end to see if you guys have any questions on that. Not at the moment. Then I will take a sip of my wonderfully refreshing beverage that I don't get sponsored on. If anybody wants to sponsor, shoot me an email. That'd be awesome. And if you don't, I did want to go over, regardless of what's going on, guys, all the ACT reading passage types. So I will get to that. So I'll go back to the slideshow. Although I prefer just looking at the camera and talking to you guys because eye contact is great. Okay. So I'm gonna get rid of all the suspense and get everything on here. Okay. So this is the literary narrative, first passage. Okay. Literary narrative, the first passage. And honestly, the art and sport one is going to be the same pattern as what I just talked about. It's like, my sport is really special, and I'm really into it, and I love it, it's rewarding, blah, 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 okay? So for that, just refer back to the previous. Family and heritage, it's going to sound super obvious, guys. Because if I talk about a particular heritage or a tradition on the ACT, can I trash that heritage? No, obviously not. I have to treasure that heritage. I have to appreciate that heritage. I can't say anything offensive on the ACT, okay? So it's going to be, I am a Chinese American, and maybe in the beginning I didn't like it so much. Maybe things were difficult because of I brought some dumplings to school and like the kids didn't like it. But then by the end of the passage, what does that have to be? They love my dumplings. Everybody wants to eat dumplings. I love being Chinese American. Maybe I switched my dumplings with some ravioli that the other kid brought, and we are now connected. We're cool, okay? Yeah. Right, and then if it doesn't fall into either of those guys, it's going to be emotional importance, which is going to be the one that most people have most difficulty with, because they read a passage and they go like, what even was the point of that passage? I'll give you guys a reason for that though. When you guys get a story, you guys have the plot curve, right? You guys have the exposition, right? The background info, and then you have conflict, rising tension, right? All of that. On the ACT passage is 1 page. You can only get the exposition. That's it. That's why. Okay. So if I felt like there was no point to that passage, it's going to be recounted emotional significance. Something like that will be the answer. And then the science is really short. The natural science is going to be, these are all kind of the same thing, guys. So you can read the screen if you want. It's going to be, this is why I think this thing is interesting. Either it was unexpected, like it totally goes against what everybody used to think, okay? Or B, it's really interesting, like, oh, wow, ants could do that? That's cool, okay? And then the third one is the least common. This one is when the science will look like it's arguing, but it's not. It's just presenting multiple people's arguments on a topic. So you guys can screenshot that, pause it, whatever, and take that into your brain. When you guys take the test on Saturday, do try to see if I can recognize each of the passages into these types, okay, of which there are at most 3. And then the last one, the social science. Okay, so important history. This is the same thing as the science, okay? This is the thing that I'm talking about is important. Well, duh, if it wasn't important, why would I talk about it, right? So that's fine. And the current problem, so there is going to be some type of negative about the things going on, because that's when we talk about things where there are problems, the problems make it into the news, okay? And sometimes there's a solution offered. So when there's a solution, then I can add a little bit of positivity. Why? Who's doing that solution? A real life person. Do I like that person? Yes, okay? And then this one, if it's about an individual person, then it turns the same pretty much exact thing as humanities. We are praising this person. We are appreciative. Okay, so that is the, I guess, the quick and dirty version of all the passage types in the ACT. I'll check the chat back and see if we have an increase. We do not have an increase in the chat at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, so I gave you guys kind of the rundown on the ACT passages for those of you guys who are watching this later. Those are all the ACT passage types, right? And so feel free to watch it again and pause the screen and write them down. If you guys want clarification on what any of those passage types mean, or want further content of those passage types, they're already planned. They're going to come up anyway, right? But if you guys let me know in the comments, I'll bump them up, right, to the list, because I already have a bunch of things that I'm planning on in terms of restoring the quick and dirty videos and the long and deep videos, what kind of videos I want to do first. But whatever you guys request, I'll just bump them up as well, put it on the priority list. And if you guys have any questions on the other sections of ACT or SAT, right, whether it's the math section or whether it's the grammar section, I do highly encourage you guys to join the live stream whenever you can, because I will still be focusing most of my uploaded non-live content on the reading. So if you have other questions on other aspects of the test, the live would be a good resource for you guys to use, okay? So I'm going to be winding down the live, unless, you guys have any questions, that I'll be very, very happy to get to whatever question you guys have. Other bits of news, we do have more college-related content coming up, right? Columbia, the whole, yeah, I like the shirt. So Columbia-related content, also college essay content as well. You guys should be, if you guys are seniors, planning for the early decision or action, which are mostly due on November 1st, which gives us less than 2 months to work on it. So very, very soon, I'll be uploading kind of like the timeline that you guys should be on. If you guys want to get, I would say early, you don't want to really be doing more than 4. Also, it would depend on your individual circumstances. So I'll also be doing content on that as well. So those are the things that are kind of coming up on the channel, guys. I will be getting the quick and dirty and the long and deep videos back up. Even if I have to make the questions myself, which hopefully I won't have to. But even if I have to do that, I will do that for you guys. So don't worry about that. And as I said before, if there are any particular quick and dirty topics or whatever that you miss a lot, let me know. And I will get them up as quickly as possible. And am I lagging? Maybe. Okay. All right. So yeah, that'll be it for this live stream, guys. And I'll see you guys in another live stream pretty soon, and also pretty soon in the next videos that are coming up. Thank you for joining. Leave us some comments, leave us questions, concerns, etc. Do everything the right way, the SexyJ way, the best way. Bye, guys.